Dr. Reddy, so much has happened in the nation. So my first question to you has to be reopening. Did the nation reopen too fast? And in terms of looking at what is happening across 31 states that are seeing an increase in their coronavirus cases, as well as 24 states who have paused their reopening, what is your medical opinion on this?
So there are three-prong approach to this problem. The problem is one is the governmental side, second is the physician side, and third is the population, the public, general public. And from the government side, they have to look at a complete picture, not only healthcare but economics and for the social life and the way the life is, and they have multiple factors they have to look at. The physician side, yes, as a physician, I think it's too early to think we already won this war. We have ways ahead. There's at least another year of very cautious approach from the physician side. From the public approach, it's the public also, they should understand this is a serious disease and they can control themselves. They should be able to, just because government makes the rules strict or lax, they should also do their part of the share. So this is a three-prong attack. And as a physician, I think we are too aggressive in opening up. And I think we have to be extremely cautious for at least another year.
In terms of looking at the South and West, which are getting impacted now, before it was New York City where we're coming from, what do you think is the reason behind such a surge in cases in the South and West as we speak right now?
So when the first virus hit New York and sparing the southern parts and the hotter countries, especially Africa and some parts of India and all the southern states, we thought maybe the temperature is stopping this virus. So we thought once the summer kicks in, this virus will go away. But because they use like a strict preventive measures such as universal mask, lockdown, and physical distancing, and good hygiene, they were able to control in New York. But interestingly, I think looks like the virus mutated and changed its shape and course, and now it is hitting the hot areas, especially the Florida, Texas, California, and even in India, it is becoming rampant. So, and the preventive measures were not that strictly implemented in the South than in the North. As I said again, this is a three-prong attack. The public also has a huge role to play in controlling these diseases.
What is the biggest concern of the medical community if we were to talk about the impact of these cases? How is the medical community right now looking at these surges of cases?
It's the medical community and also the other medical organizations have predicted that there will be this surge if we don't fix these problems in advance. So the preventive measures, wherever we took the preventive measures, we were able to succeed and control. But where we did not take the preventive measures, that's where all these surges and are happening. And API is the first organization in this country, the medical organization, to request and really made a press statement that there should be total lockdown nationally, and also the physical distancing and other universal masking. These are the initiatives we first released in the very beginning. And again, as you said, this, even though you are at different states, it's not like in India or Europe where it's the borders are very porous. That means people move in and out of state so frequently. It's almost there is no clear border between each state. So in US, it will be we have to take this problem as a whole country than a state. If you just put lockdown in one state and not in another state, it's not going to help.
So you're calling for a lockdown in the entire nation right now. According to you and API, that may be beneficial in containing this virus, if I'm understanding you right.
Right. From the medical side, I'm not a business person, so I cannot speak for the business and economy.
Yeah.
From the medical side, the only way to control the disease is a total lockdown. But at this point, I can understand it's very difficult to do lockdown, but at least they have to do some strict measures and in a phased manner. But the only thing that's really working right now is physical distancing and masking and try to as much lockdown as possible.
In terms of looking at PPE, hospital capacity, ICU, beds, and so much more, where do you see the country in that spectrum? If we were to hit a second wave soon, are we ready?
I think when we are in the first time, we were not ready because we didn't realize this virus from China will come and hit us so bad. We thought, like other diseases like Ebola and those viruses, we thought it will just go away after from China and maybe hit little bit. But this came, it damaged us pretty badly. It hit us very bad. So when it first hit, we were not prepared, the PPE wise, the ventilators wise. But now I think for the second phase, I think we are well prepared, even if it happens, because we got some breathing room and also we know how to tackle the virus a little bit better than 3 months ago. So now we are more prepared and better shape. But we also know, as I said, there are so many preventive measures. I think as an old saying that prevention is better than cure, that's what we have to follow. But I think we are pretty well prepared at this time.
In terms of testing capacity, looking at both antibody testing and COVID-19 testing, do you believe we're doing enough at this point? I know testing was an issue before. And in terms of, if people want to get their antibody test taken, do you recommend it?
So testing is a very complicated issue. First of all, do we need to test, not test? How many should we test? Because the more we test, the more positive we get. Instead of that, they can just do a sampling in one community and say, okay, or like take 3 or 4 tiers of communities and say, okay, in this community, when we tested 100, this many are positive. And you can extrapolate those numbers. Instead of testing each and every person, I think testing should be limited to people who have, who are having symptoms or who are going other medical procedures. Because the more we test, the more we get positive. And we don't know where to go. So we have so much, we'll get information which is not really helpful. So instead of that, they can use the mathematics and say, okay, this is the projected number of positives, this is the projected number of negatives. But again, this testing is also interesting because this virus is interesting in the sense that before you even get a symptom, you are already spreading the disease to multiple people. Most of the diseases, once you get symptoms, that's when you will be spreading the disease. But this one, you spread the disease first, then you get the symptoms. So it's a little bit complicated with this. So testing, I don't really, I cannot rely too many medical decisions on testing. But the most important thing that's important is first they have to do with the help of statisticians, we can check, we can find out how many people will be positive in each city or each region, extrapolating the mathematics. But the most important thing is how many people are getting admitted in the hospital, how many are symptomatic, and how many are getting severely critical. These are the 3 numbers that's most important.
What are your comments on testing? Sorry, my bad, there's a little error. What are your comments on drug trials as well as vaccination? Because with so much confusion with testing and other forms to protect ourselves, it just seems like we all have to wait for the vaccination. We also keep on hearing about random drugs that are being experimented at. What kind of insight could you provide us for that?
So there are 2 things, testing and vaccinations. Testing, again, because we are doing it in a rush. Usually the testing takes months and months and experimentation and at multiple stages of experimentation, then it released in the market. Because we are on a time crunch, we don't have enough, it's like going to an examination without proper preparation. So you skip several of these steps to save time. That's part of the reason we are not able to get a good test, which can be 100% sensitive and 100% specific. The same thing with the vaccine. Usually a development of a vaccine takes anywhere from 6 months to 2 years or 3 years, or sometimes 20, 30 years, like HIV. We don't have a vaccine yet. So we are rushing and we are pushing the people, to the scientists to make the vaccine so fast. 60 to 70 companies are working on this vaccine. So this makes it's a little bit harder to get the good vaccine. So they are coming up with homework which is not completely done. So it will take a while, and rushing is good, but too much rushing produces bad products. That's what's happening right now. So I'm thinking it may take at least another 6 months or a year before we really get a good vaccine.
Oh wow. So do you predict this vaccine to be available in January of 2021? I believe Dr. Anthony Fauci had said that he was hopeful to have something by then.
Yes, we are hoping, but hope is hope. Reality, I think it takes longer than hope.
Yes, for sure. You know, in terms of truly protecting ourselves, Dr. Reddy, my question to you right now would be there's so much that we've already discussed in terms of the increase of cases, need of testing, confusion still in the medical community about what is happening with the virus. What do you think is needed for us to truly protect ourselves? And is it just by social distancing, wearing a mask, and washing hands at the end of the day?
So that's a great question. Like as you know, like 80% of the cases are asymptomatic, even the positive cases, and 20% have some kind of symptoms, and 5% get admitted in the hospital or even less, or get severe symptoms, and 2% or 1% get critically ill. So instead of worrying about this 5%, 10%, 20%, worry about the 80%. How about this 80% saved? So that is, we have to, general public especially, that's what we are trying to say. You have so much you can do yourself to avoid all this. So avoid parties, do social distancing, like physical distancing. I would rather not use the word social distancing because it's more of a physical distancing with social proximity. Socially, you are closer than ever in this last 3 months. But there are simple things, hand washing. Try to do things which are in your control. Try to stay away. If you maintain these simple things, try to go to grocery store only it's absolutely needed, and go as less number of times as possible. When you go, just get everything, come back, take a shower, wash your clothes, and do a good hand washing. These are the simple things that can definitely prevent you from getting the disease. So I think we should focus on that 80% rather than worrying about the 20%.
Yeah, definitely. Also, young Americans are increasingly reporting in cases. Is this a matter of concern? And if so, what do you think is causing this increase in cases? Because I have a statement saying here by top health official that says that the increase in these cases is not due to testing.
It's increase in cases are like multiple reasons. Definitely, we are doing more testing, but I'm sure a lot of people are getting infected because like compared to 2 months ago or 1 month ago, we are a little bit more lax now. It could be just fatigue from lockdown, or it could be just, I have seen some people who think they are immune to this. They think this is all hoax. They think this is, and unfortunately it happened during the election year. That makes it a political element is also there in there. So definitely the virus is spreading. Definitely the infection rate is increasing, but again the testing is more, and we are testing more and more. So definitely all these factors, it's not just one factor, there are multiple factors involved.
Another popular question that we keep on getting here with ITV Gold is this new virus that is also coming from China, which is resembling the traits of swine flu. What information do you have regarding that? And is this a matter of concern while we're seeing such a surge in cases here?
I know there are multiple other viruses and strains are coming from China. That's what they say. But again, I think right now, I think most of the damage is by the COVID. So that's what I would focus on for now.
Definitely. Another question to you would be, what is herd immunity? And if so, why are we discussing so much about it right now?
Herd immunity is basically when 60 to or 70 or 80% of the population is infected, they form like a covering, like a protective layer outside, and the people inside that protective layer are spared. They don't get infected, so that the surrounding layer gets infected, they get immune, and they cannot transmit inside. So that way, like this 20 to 30% of people can be protected, not get infected. Without even getting infected, they can have immunity called herd immunity because the others surrounding them are already infected and immune. So that's because we are talking more about that because we don't have any other option to fix this problem. We are thinking maybe that's a hope that will protect us. Usually, most of the viruses in the end phase, they do not infect 100% of the people. They infect 70%, 80%, and the rest of the 20% get immunity from this 80% of the people who are immune. So that's what we are hoping. At least the seniors will, the younger people will get infected and provide immunity and support and protect the seniors within that immunity ring. But looks like that's some countries Scandinavian countries are following that plan, but I don't think that's really working.
Dr. Reddy, if I was to ask you what your prediction for the next few weeks is, what would you say?
The number of cases has increased in the southern states, and it takes 2 to 3 weeks before they get admitted in the hospital. Some of my friends who are physicians in those states are saying all the ICU beds are full. That means now they are in the second phase. So basically, the cases increases. That's the first phase. Second phase, ICU beds increase, and the third phase is some of them become critical, and the fourth phase is some of them get expired. So we are in the second phase. So we'll see again increased number of critical patients and increased number of deaths. But I think it will be definitely less than the New York, because at least we know what to do, what not to do, a little bit better than 2 to 3 months ago.
Yes, definitely. And we're hoping here that, things get better and, no one sees what we saw here in New York. It was quite devastating. I have a couple of minutes here left on the interview here with you. Dr. Reddy, I just wanted to quickly look into API's incredible work. You are representing API today as well while you're discussing so much on COVID-19 with us. If you could just share some resources and the relief efforts that API has done over the last couple of months, that'll be really great.
So we have done like 3 main things. Actually, I would say 4. First one is education, because we did so much education to the public and doctors. Public in the sense we were the first ones to do a press release, media release on a total lockdown, requesting the government to do total lockdown, universal masking, physical distancing, hand hygiene, and we produced videos in several media and newsletter articles, emails, and everything. So that's public education. And also we educated the doctors, and especially working in rural areas or who are not working in Northeast, we educated them with what is COVID going on, with the doctors who had first-hand experience. So we did almost like 60 to 70 webinars over the course of 3 months with our excellent speakers, and we have brought in over 250 speakers to speak on this issue. And this was a global one. We educated the Indian doctors, we educated the doctors in the UK, in Australia, in several countries, where, because our system is one of the best medical healthcare system in the world. Yeah. We have the best expertise in the world, and so we were able to share that information. And also in rural areas, and also in southern states where they do not have much access to COVID information, or they did not see the COVID patients then. So they already, we educated them. So we had a wonderful educational sessions we had over the last 3 months. And the second one is coming to the seniors, especially the visitors who came from India, who were stranded here because the flights were all cancelled and their prescriptions expired. They had medical conditions, because these are all parents who come to see their kids during the summer months and they go back, and they were all stuck here. So we formed a helpline under the guidance of Dr. Jayesh Shah, and we did a online help desk on our website, and we recruited around 60 to 100 doctors, and they constantly worked, and we helped more than 1,000 patients, Indian visitors who were here refilling their prescriptions, because it's very difficult to get a refill for them when they are here. Refill the prescriptions, online help, medical help. And that was an amazing service, and that was in collaboration with the Indian Embassy, and they recognized those efforts. And the Prime Minister of India, Modi, sent a personal statement, and he was a chief guest, and he came, and he gave an address to Indian physicians in our virtual summit on COVID. That was an amazing experience. So that was a very big effort on our part. And the education part, as I said before, was under the leadership of Dr. Lokesh Idara. He took charge and he did that. And the third one is we donated PPEs. We collected more than $150,000 to $200,000, and we donated PPEs to almost all the hospitals, most of the inner city hospitals in the country, like in Chicago, New York, New Jersey, because that's where the worst hit. So that's one thing. And coming to the last one, the main frontline workers, like as you know, the Indian doctors, we are about 1 in 6 or 1 in 7 doctors in
Definitely.
United States are Indians, and we most of us are the front line. But the main real frontline warriors are the nurses. So we honored, felicitated 10,000 nurses, more than
Oh,
10,000
wow.
nurses in over 100 hospitals in over 40 states, and including Alaska, by
Wow.
sponsoring them lunches as a token of appreciation. So these are some of the things we did, and we did the research projects. We did several other projects, but these are the main.
Well, that's so great to hear all of API's incredible work. I know we keep on supporting API just for that as well. Thank you so much for being with us here on ITV Gold, Dr. Reddy. I would love for you to give one last message to our audience here, perhaps maybe some advice that they can follow for the next few weeks.
Yeah, I will repeat the same thing. 3 months ago, when I released the first video, that universal masking, total lockdown, you can do it on your own self. You don't have to government tell you what to do. Stay in the house unless you need to go out. You can work from home, and hand washing and all these. If you can do this, and we are already controlling the disease. I think the numbers are going up, but the severity is not the same as we saw in the initial months. And if we can kill this Rakshas virus by October, we can celebrate a wonderful Diwali and have a special meaning for Diwali this year.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for your time here on ITV Gold.